Shabbat Shalom. I want to begin this sermon by saying that I've been looking forward to this bar mitzvah for months now. But after this week, I feel like I really needed this bar mitzvah. Allow me to explain. Just several days ago on Thursday of this week, a credible threat was made against the Jewish Enrichment Center of San Antonio. Now, as you probably know, there is no such thing as a Jewish Enrichment Center of San Antonio. But because of everything happening in Israel and Iran right now, the powers that be decided that it would be the safest option to shut down the bar shop JCC just down the street from us. And other synagogues and Jewish programs in town followed suit. Events were canceled, children were sent home, and security across the city was raised. But by late afternoon on Thursday, the suspect had already been arrested. I'll note for the record that he was in Virginia when he made the cowardly threat. However, people in the Jewish community here are still scared because the message remains clear. Anti-Semitism isn't going anywhere. I had first received a text message about the threat early Thursday morning, and when I read the words, initially I was in disbelief. And then soon afterwards, I felt like I had been punched right in the gut. I'm not someone who succumbs to fear easily, but the mere thought of someone trying to hurt any member of this precious community here made me feel nauseous. I wanted to curl up into a ball. I felt small. I felt vulnerable. I felt powerless. And then, I got over that fear real quick. I did a complete 180. And I thought to myself, this fear is exactly what the person who called in this threat, that's exactly what he wants. I'm not going to let that idiot hold power over me, over my shul, over this community. Screw that. And the next thing I did was pick up the phone, and I called Gal Schweike, our synagogue president, and we began to talk about how to keep people safe. And with minutes, we were on the phone with Stacy Dory, our Heinz preschool director, and we had all made a plan to make sure our kids stayed safe. And then I began texting other rabbis and other members of the community, asking them if they were okay, asking them what we could do, asking who needs help. Soon after, the most beautiful and empowering thing happened. People started reaching out to me. Congregants here at Agudas Achim were asking, Rabbi, how can we volunteer? Rabbis from other cities in Texas began to text me, send encouragement, just check in. And then the San Antonio Police Department arrived on campus and immediately began securing the area. Friends, it soon became apparent that the Jews of San Antonio weren't going to succumb to fear this time. We were going to unite, keep one another safe, and we were going to get through this together. In this week's Torah portion, as Anatole so beautifully spoke about, we encounter one of the most embarrassing anecdotes of our ancestors' history, the scouting of the land of Canaan. In Parshat Shelach, Moshe sends 12 spies, one from each tribe, to scout out the land of Canaan before the Israelites enter it. And after 40 days, the spies return to camp with a mixed report. They confirm that the land is rich and fertile, a land, quote, flowing with milk and honey. But 10 of the spies warn the inhabitants of the land that they saw powerful giants in Canaan, and their cities were heavily fortified. They said, quote, "We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we appeared to them. Their fear and lack of faith in God makes God very upset. God decrees that the entire generation will wander in the desert for 40 years and not enter the promised land. Only Joshua and Caleb, the spies who remained faithful, will be allowed to be in. I've been thinking a lot about the events of this week, not just the threat against our community, but also the attack on Iran from Israel. Just think about this for a moment, friends. The tiny Jewish nation of Israel, which is the size of New Jersey and has a population of less than 9 million people, is currently kicking the tuchus out of Iran. Iran is a country in the Middle East that is 59 times bigger than Israel, with 10 times its population. It seems like Israel is likewise done with being afraid. Gone are the days of the Jews feeling like small grasshoppers. You see, now this time we fight back. We protect ourselves. And really, we prevent the world from receiving the wrath of the Iranian regime. In the midst of all those thoughts, I have also thought about this bar mitzvah today and what it means not just for Anatol and his family, but for we, the Jewish people as a whole. In the former Soviet Union, where Anatol grew up, public Jewish life was suppressed. He was not allowed the bar mitzvah milestone that so many Jewish teens seem to take for granted. You see, under Soviet rule, to be Jewish was to feel small, to hide one's identity for fear of their safety, to internalize a sense of insufficiency. And yet, after all that, here he is today, fully embracing his heritage, stepping in to the Torah's light as an adult. Perhaps this courage comes from Anatol's father, David, who was taken from his Romanian town by the Nazis and forced to do humiliating work in the camps. But he too refused to be like that of a grasshopper. So he survived and persevered and even completed the almost impossible task of becoming a doctor. And rather than being intimidated by the promised land of the U.S., David and his family kept their faith. And as he mentioned, they immigrated here in 1975. This bar mitzvah isn't just important to Anatol, it's important to all of us, because it's a living testament that even after suppression, even after attempted genocide, our people live on. We thrive, we affirm. So as I mentioned today, it's not just a personal step for the Trachtenbreut family. It is a link in the chain of Jewish survival. That phrase, "we look like grasshoppers in our own eyes," that phrase has echoed throughout Jewish history. There were times where our people were made to feel small. In Pharaoh's Egypt, in Babylon, in Auschwitz, in the back alleys of the Soviet Union, and yes, even this week here in San Antonio. But let us say clearly together, my friends, we are no longer grasshoppers. We are not weak. We are not voiceless. We are not wandering nor leaderless. We are building schools and synagogues and vibrant communities here in America and across Israel too. We're raising children who learn to speak Hebrew here at our synagogues, and we're teaching them to know the names of their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. We are celebrating the reading and the studying of our holy books publicly, loudly, joyfully. And Anatol is proof of this transformation. Someone who was once silenced just moments ago chanted words of Torah. Someone who was once forced to hide his Jewishness now wears it with pride in the presence of his children and grandchildren. I want to conclude today by reiterating that Jews are no longer the insects beneath anyone's feet. We are descendants of kings, prophets, and teachers. We are the children of survivors. We are the dreamers of Zion and the builders of tomorrow. If you destroy us in one place, we'll relocate and we'll transform the community we moved to, and we'll make it even better than when we arrived. Make no mistake, this week's threat to our community was real, but so is our response. We will gather, we will pray, we will affirm Jewish life here in San Antonio. But perhaps most importantly, we will celebrate, whether we're 13 years old or 67, because that is Jewish strength. So, Anitzol, my blessing for you and everyone else here today is that we walk tall, read proudly, celebrate fiercely, because we are not grasshoppers. Anitzol, you are the son of Israel, the son of a survivor, and now today, you are officially a bar mitzvah, a man, a keeper of our memory, and a builder of our future. Allow me to say that the Jewish people will live on, not small but strong. And today, Anitzol, you have strengthened us. So thank you and Mazel Tov. To the rest of us I say, Shabbat Shalom.